have a theory. But it does establish him as sort of a madman. It's like at the schools with the kids, you know? Nightclubs are the same sort of thing for adults. With the in-crowds and the peer pressure, this crazy did all those people at that club over there, then ran across the street to here and lit himself on fire.
Todd, you asshole.
Looks like you broke his arm.
From its weight. From its weight. Oh my. It's quite incredible. I'd have to say it's a major bloodbath.
Interesting, skin shows intense burning and bodies look completely intact.
It's not funny, dickhead. It's not funny, dickhead.
More confusing. Basically, clouding the details. I've never seen such an event path. Just taken in the environment for future references.
Tracker suffered major temperature variations in transit, then stopped all momentum for nearly 10 minutes. Then was rushed to a medical facility where it was discovered that subject A had returned to life. Readjusted for release to society. Let us end, please. My body is trying to live, but my mind is rotten. Please, please, please.
No, not yet. Excuse me, sir. Hello?
What the hell? I'm trying to die here. What do you want?
You don't remember me, do you? Why do you want to die? I know so little of you. Who were you talking to? You must give me a chance to play with you, so you can't die. What are you? Are you like me? Do you live on this side or the other? Let me show you my pain. Then I'll help you die.
Once you shoot off someone's arm, they tend to not care why.
I just hope you remember that as you scoop all that bloody sludge out of my trunk.
Okay. Such slaughter scenes that seldom value the expenses of an advanced criminal investigation. All we need to now is map the killing pattern. All we're doing is bringing a feeling of false conclusions to the deaths of the families of those here, some out of the norm experience, for a point of absolute logic that will uphold any court-appointed jury, the absolute truth.
overnight. I found a hand. No, not her. Still has both her.
Take the hand you found. I'll raise one liver.
Well, we're playing it that way. Give me a moment. Sure, I'll give you that.
No, you're right. That's not silly. The fun of the game is someone just died. Oh, excuse me. Tell you our excuse for that.
I'm just not sure with your reasons behind this angle. That's funny. Not really. Detection of motion positive. Matches with heat displacement. Danger potential positive 73%. Program response override. Based upon sensory neural net perception. Warning. Muscle tension, facial twitch, adrenaline surge, eye dilation, weight displacement, attack 97%. Non-aggressive fear detected. Manual control returned.
Any continued resistance against my lawful actions will probably result in the accidental use of deadly force. Do you understand what I am saying?
You do know the virus danger of using streetwears in your systems.
Tragedy struck down outside broadcast. You mean like
touch.
Damn Weird, Episode 4, The Frilled Shark. I've gone from Boy Scout to D-Malay to Solo Wiccan to OTO Initiate to Pagan Priest to Atheist. All in a search for more in life. In the history of the natural world to the supernatural. I found many weird things. But just because I don't know what it is doesn't make it supernatural. While the true heart of science is to always question even yourself. In the end, I have become an objective atheist. I am an atheist, but I want there to be more. Welcome to Damn Weird. And in this, I'm going to attempt to organize my collective thoughts on various unusual events and things and people that have occurred and things I've studied. Just a way to organize them here onto YouTube for me. Now we're going to start with some of the easier things, simply because we need kind of a foundation for our studies, for something to look at. These are things that maybe shouldn't exist, but do. The frilled shark. Another one of the once believed extinct, but now it's back. So maybe we don't know everything. Other common names of the species include the frilled shark, lizard shark, scaffold shark, and silk shark. The frilled shark belongs to one of the oldest still extant shark lineages, dating back to at least the late Cretaceous, and possibly the late Jurassic. Because of the ancient ancestry and primitive characteristics, the frilled shark and other members of this lineage have been described as living fossils. First scientifically described by Ludwig H.P. Dodderlein, who taught at the Tokyo University from 1879 to 1881, and brought two specimens captured in Tokyo Bay were returned to Vienna, but his papers describing the sharks was lost. I guess the specimens too, or did he lose those too? Well, bad luck on his part. The first official description comes from Samuel Garman in the 1884 edition of the Bulletin of Essex Institute. In the remarks after the description, Garman noted that such an animal as that described is very likely to unsettle disbelief, and was popularly called the sea serpent. Though it could hardly, upon examination, be taken for anything but a shark, its appearance in the forward position of the body, particularly of the head, belongs vividly to the mind. The triangular heads and deep cleft mouths, fierce looks of many of our most dreaded snakes. In such creatures so recently undiscovered, certainly calls for a suspension of judgment in regards to the non-existence of the aft appearing but elusive creature, the serpent-like monster of the oceans. With its elongated eel-like body and strange appearance, the frilled shark has been likened to the mythical sea serpent, especially when caught on accident and once on the ship, judged by its frightened look, worsened by possible damage from the nets or decay. Of course, an ancient sailor out in the huge seas might assume that this was just a small one, with mommy and daddy out there somewhere. Highly specialized for life in the deep sea, the frilled shark has reduced, poorly calcified skeleton and an enormous liver. Its body cavity is elongated and packed with a huge liver perfused with low-density oils and hydrocarbons, making the shark almost naturally buoyant at depth, meaning it hovers more than swims. The head is broad and flattened with a short, rounded snout. Nostrils are vertical slits separated into incurrent and excurrent openings by a leading flap of skin. Moderately large eyes are horizontally oval and lack a protective third eyelid. Scientists believe that it uses its posterior fins as a propulsion surface to launch itself at its prey. Its very long jaws are positioned at the end of the snout, in opposed to the underslung jaws of most sharks. Its long jaws, which terminate at the back of its head, may allow the animal to gape extra wide and take in prey half as long as its own body. Analysis of the stomach contents of captured specimens has revealed that the frill shark's diet is 61% cephalopod, 11% fishes, and occasionally other sharks. The frilled shark's mouth is just as terrifying a maw as the great white. It's lined with 25 rows of backward-facing trident-shaped teeth, 300 in all. Teeth are constructed for grasping, and from their peculiar shape and sharpness, it would seem as if nothing that came within their reach could ever escape them. Before, as we mentioned with Garmin, he wrote, even in the dead specimen, the formidable three-pronged teeth make the mouth a tremendous, troublesome one to explore. Ebert can testify to the fact and tell you from the snagging my fingers on the teeth, you can only back out one way, and that's in towards the mouth and then out. It didn't feel any good. I can't tell you that the sharks use, they use these bright white teeth which sharply contrast against their brown body to lure in prey. By the time the prey realizes, oh, that's the teeth of a shark, they're too close. The shark is able to ambush them at this point. It's almost like when you drive out a parking lot exit. Then they have those spikes sticking out that say don't back up. That's kind of what happens when those things catch prey items. And if its teeth weren't freaky enough, the frilled shark has spines called dermal denticles lining its mouth. So if you happen to see one of these anywhere, it's better to look and not to touch. There are 6 pairs of long gill slits with a frilly appearance created by extended tips of the gill filaments, giving the shark its name. The first pair of the gill slits meets across the throat, forming a collar, unlike all other sharks, which has separate gills on each side. The frilled shark's first pair of gills go all the way under its throat. Each pair is lined at the edges with a red fringe. The frilled shark differs from the southern African relatives in having more vertebrae, 160, 171 versus 147, and more churns in the spiral value intestine, 35 to 49 versus 26 to 28, as well as in various proportional measurements such as a larger head and shorter gill slits. The maximum known length is 5.6 feet for males and 6.6 feet for females. Interesting enough, it's found all over the world, but you probably won't see it. The Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations notes the frilled shark is a wide-ranging but spottily distributed. It resides in depths between 390 and 4,200 feet, so people rarely see these sharks unless they venture to these surfaces, which isn't unheard of. An average male ranges from 3.2 to 3.6 feet, with the females going 4.4 to 4.9. The maximum of these sharks, as we covered before, is about 6.5 feet. Their gestation period may be about 3.5 years, though. A study of frilled sharks in Japan revealed that the animals breed year-round. Litters typically consist of 6 pups, which emerge from eggs while still in the mother's uterus, and are then born alive. Scientists think the shark may have the longest gestation period ever. Frilled sharks can gestate for as long as 42 months. That's nearly twice as long as an African elephant carries their young. Scientists theorize that the extreme length has something to do with the shark's sea habitat. Interestingly enough, it wasn't even seen in its natural habitat until 2004, when NOAA scientists exploring the latitude 3130 transect in the Atlantic Ocean, they captured a video of a frilled shark swimming over the sea bottom that was covered with tiny sand dunes during a submersible dive. This specimen has been on rare occasion caught or taken in bottom trawls. To the knowledge of everyone on board, however, this was the first time anyone had ever seen the rare specimen in its natural habitat. In January 2007, a Japanese fisherman spotted a strange eel-like creature with a mouthful of sharp teeth near the surface. He alerted the staff of the Oshima Marine Park in Shinzuoka. I know I'm mispronouncing everything here. Who captured the animals and transferred it to a seawater pool, where they filmed it. The shark, a female, died a few hours later after its capture. The main take I have on this creature is that some primitive traits were strong enough to carry some creatures through all the ages. So why not some of the other species we thought dead? While it is no surprise that we still find new things in the sea, it seems that since the range of the ocean they live in is actually quite large, they must be rather common, yet we failed to see them because of their depth. I also find it interesting that early reports of this thing as a possible version of sea monsters or sea serpents. This seems possible to me. The ancient version of these pictures, if you look at, were not as big as some of us nowadays think. Boats were a lot smaller, and the oceans had more in it, and larger things in the past, more food and all. They did not look like dinosaurs, though. They may have only seen these things following their anchors or when caught while fishing or netting.
Or maybe in the bellies of large whales, thus pictures of whales fighting sea serpents. Because there's no chance they ever saw one in its natural environment. This one seems to me to be a close possibility. Old pictures seem to show them, rarely with their heads out of the water, unless on a line or biting onto a boat. But also, if these survived, what possible larger or smaller or other types of these descendants did as well? Is it alone its branch of evolution? We don't know. Thanks.